Hi everyone, let's dive right into my April favorites, and the first item is something that I didn't even know I needed in my life until I started using it. And that is a face mask applicator, I guess. It's one of these, I mean it's a brush basically, but it's got a silicone tip that's very flexible that makes it so easy to apply whatever face mask you're going to be using. I have used this with pretty much every mask I can think of, charcoal masks, mud masks, those kind of like gel type ones, and this is just the product I didn't know I needed in my life. It makes it so easy to apply to your face, and the best part for me is that I don't have to get junk under my nails, because if you're someone who has long nails, you know how much crap gets stuck under them, and wherever possible I will use a product that will prevent me from getting junk under my nails, and this has become a total savior for that. It's also really pleasing to use this because you can just like softly apply it to your face and cover the contours without really getting your hands grubby. I think it's wonderful, and it's so easy to clean too because it's a silicone thing. It's not a brush, like it's not real hairs, so the silicone just like wipes off really easily. I love this thing. I know there are tons of brands that make them. I was sent this one by Biotherm along with some of their skincare, but any brand will do for this. You just need something with this kind of like flimsy applicator, and I promise you, you won't look back. I wish I'd invested in one of these sooner. I mean, I didn't pay for this one because it was a PR sample, but now that I know how good it is, I would buy one, no questions asked. The next two items are kind of a throwback because no one talks about these anymore. Do you remember the Too Faced Sweet Peach lip glosses? Or lip oils, I guess they were calling it. These are fantastic, and I started busting them back out because we're starting to hit springtime season in Toronto, and sometimes I just want a really easy lip color to wear. I'm not a huge fan of glosses, but I do really like these because the color is nice, and I really like the scent of these. These ones have the original Sweet Peach scent, not the new Peaches and Cream scent, which I'm less a fan of. The two I've been using are Pop Erotic Peach, which is a little bit more of a, I don't know, I'd say a brown peach color, and then this one, Peach Tease. Like, this is the perfect kind of coral shade that I'm always drawn towards. They don't impart a lot of color on your lips, which is fine, but there is enough color that you don't feel like you're just, you know, putting a plain lip balm on your lips. And honestly, I just really like these because they're so easy to wear. They're easy to slap on. They don't wear the longest, but I'm not really looking for that in a gloss, so I can get, I don't know, about 45 minutes to an hour of a nice color on my lips. And you know, if you happen to be going out for dinner, they're the kind of gloss that will just easily come off. You don't have to be worried about smearing it all over your food. So I've just really been enjoying these, and it's funny because no one talks about these anymore, right? Like, it came out, I don't know, a year ago, and they kind of just fell by the wayside, but I've been drawn back into these. The next item I'm going to talk about is probably gonna come as no surprise if you saw my Violet Voss hashtag palette review with 5 looks. I really love this palette. I am so pleased that I picked it up. And as I mentioned in that review video, I hadn't loved the Holy Grail palette, so I was a little bit skeptical about picking this one up, but in the end, I am so glad that I did. The colors in here are phenomenal. I like that it's not just a warm palette that we're so used to seeing. I mean, there is a lot in the top section, really. The top 3 rows are all warm. But this bottom row of purples really makes the palette for me. It really helps to make it not just a warm palette. It's something a little bit more unique. It's a little bit more special. And I'm really happy to see a launch like this that is going to make a lot of people happy, because for me, I really like a lot of color in my palettes. And more often than not, most things are now neutral with like a pop of color, and I don't really like that. I want more color. So I feel like this kind of covers the bases of both worlds. It's got all the color that I would want, but for somebody who is a neutral lover, there's a lot in here for you. So everything in here has been fantastic. I really don't think there is a shade that is faulty, which is phenomenal. I really can't think of a palette that ever manages to achieve that, because usually you've got a few duds. This one doesn't have any duds. They're all creamy, buttery, soft, blendable, smooth. You've got enough mattes with the shimmers. I mean, I think I did mention in the review video, I could have done with like maybe a darker cranberry shade or a dark red, something like that. But I mean, if that's my sole complaint on the entire palette, I think it's doing very well. So this palette was clearly a total knockout for me this past month. I put it in my favorites video now, and I had it in my Sephora VIB recommendations video, and quite a few said that you actually went ahead and picked it up, and I really hope you love it. It's one thing for me to say that I really like something, but you never know how somebody else is going to feel about a palette because we're all different. So whoever picked this up, I really hope that you like it. If you don't, let me know why below. I'm curious to hear what was like maybe a miss for you on this palette. So this past month I actually ran out of liquid liner, which was a little bit of a shock to me. And before I could go out and buy another liquid liner, I had to do my makeup for a few days in a row. And I was like, what the heck am I gonna do? I always do a winged liner. It's very rare that I don't do one, actually. And I rediscovered this guy. This is the Tarte Tartist Clay Paint Liner, and it is a gel liner, so it's not as easy as one of the pens. But oh man, I forgot how much I like this thing. I posted a great blog review on this probably about a year ago, and I do really, really like it, but I've just been opting for a liquid liner just because it's quicker. However, I had forgotten just how well this goes over top of shimmer eyeshadows. Now with a liquid liner, I don't know, more often than not, when I put the eyeshadow on my lid and it's shimmery, the liquid liner tends to kind of catch on it a little bit, and it doesn't matter what the brand is. I just feel like the brush tip gets a little bit clogged with the shimmery product, and it makes it a little bit more of a nuisance to apply the liner. But this doesn't happen with a gel liner, and that's fantastic. This is so black and it goes right over top of that shimmery shadow without any problems. Now, the thing that's so amazing about this one, aside from the awesome product, is the fact that the delivery method is so good. More often than not, gel eyeliners tend to come in a little pot and you gotta dip your brush in, and they get kind of messy over time just because you keep constantly digging. You've got like streak marks in it. It's not a pretty sight. This Tarteist Clay Paint Liner though has kind of like a well at the top, so you can squeeze out a little bit of product, dip your brush in there, smear it around, and then flatten out your brush, because I tend to do that before I go straight onto my eyes just because it makes it easier for me. And it's so easy to clean off because it's just this little applicator. I think this is fantastic, and I really don't know why more brands don't have this kind of, you know, packaging, because it's so much easier than the pots. I really, really like this, and I'm so pleased that it's not such a mess like the pots are. I can't speak highly enough of this one. The next item I'm going to talk about is for my runners out there. So to give you a little bit of context, I am a distance runner. I mean, I run short distance, like 5 kilometer, but I also go all the way up to a half marathon. And when you start training for half marathon distances, your mileage is quite high. So whenever I run anything that's around 10 kilometers up to the half marathon distance, which is just over 21 kilometers, I get major chafing on the underside of my chest for my sports bra. And it doesn't matter what sports bra I'm wearing, every single bra seems to do this when I'm running such a long distance. And really it's just a buildup of sweat and rubbing, because my chest is not small. You know, it's like making contact with the material, it's sweating, and it's really just rubbing the skin raw, which is unpleasant to look at, but also extremely painful. If you've ever showered with like raw skin, you know how painful this can be. Now, I don't even know how my friend Allison thought to give me this, because I don't think I've ever mentioned this chafing problem to her, but this past Christmas she gave me something called undercarriage, which for me, I was like under my boobs. And that's pretty much what this is. So it's 100% natural deodorant cream for under the arms, the breasts, and the belt. Now, I don't really have problems with under the arms or by the belt, but I have a hell of a problem underneath the breasts, especially when running. And this stuff actually works. I was really skeptical about it because I was just like, how the heck is something that's basically like deodorant gonna work to prevent chafing? And it does. It just does. So I apply a little bit of this underneath my bra, directly onto my breasts, on the underside, just before I go for a long distance run, so anything over 10 kilometers, and I will not have any problems. It's incredible and it's almost life-changing, and now when I forget to apply it and I'm out for a long distance run, I'm just like, oh, this is going to hurt so bad afterward. It's pretty much, I think, just a deodorant based product. Maybe even deodorant would work as well, but I got given this, so this is what I've been using. Allison gave me the scent Coconut Lime, and it just smells fantastic. It doesn't really feel like anything on the underside of my chest, and like, this is a savior. This is an absolute savior for those long distance runs. I think they're a Canadian company. I don't know a whole lot. I feel like Allison bought them locally in Ottawa, but if I have any information about them that I can find on the internet, I will put it down below. The last item I'm gonna talk about is not makeup related at all. It's not even beauty related, but it's a Netflix series called Altered Carbon that I have been so in love with this past month. The first season only has 10 episodes and I want so much more. It's a cyberpunk series, I guess you could say. It's based on a book, but I've never read the book series before. And it's very cyberpunk, William Gibson's Neuromancer, kind of Blade Runner-esque. It's just that whole kind of world where science fiction kind of hits like technology, and I really, really like it. The main actor is Joel Kinnaman, whom I sort of knew before via House of Cards. I really like House of Cards, but I didn't love his character on that series. But he is perfect as Takeshi in Altered Carbon. What a fantastic series, and we finished it a few weeks ago now, and I want to rewatch it, which is not something I usually get the opportunity to do with a Netflix series because I feel like I want to always move on to the next thing, but I actually want to rewatch the series. So that's how much I really like it. Check it out if you're into science fiction, kind of cyberpunk stuff. If you're not, I don't think you'd like the series at all because it's heavily focused on different concepts that science fiction has covered over the years, and I think it's done so well. Anyway, on that note, that's going to be it for the month. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!